And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with the Game Boy Geek.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. When I was a kid, I loved backgammon. So much so that my mom bought me one of those cool leather ones that had a carry case and all that sort of stuff. Today we're looking at a spin-off of that game called Snapgammon. This is from Victory Point Games for 2 players, plays in 15 to 20 minutes. It's very similar to backgammon with a twist, some special abilities, rules that break the game, some crazy dice. Let's take a look. Here we have Snapgammon set up. It's a 2-player game. It very much represents the old backgammon with a little twist. Essentially, you're going to get 3 cards per player that allow you to break the rules of the game. Otherwise, it's pretty much very similar to backgammon. So if you're not familiar, so there's different 2 colors, red and blue, and they're set up like this. This is the setup for every game. The blue is trying to get all their cows around this side and into this blue cow pen, where the red's trying to go the other direction, getting in here. How it works is each person gets 2 dice and they're going to roll them. Let's say I'm the red player now. I have a 3 and a 2. I can move any of these guys 3 and any of them 2. Now when I move, I can let's say 1, 2, 3, and then I can move this guy 2. Now if this guy was already here, I could not move this 2 because there's more than one of my opponent here. So I wouldn't be able to move there. Now let's say it's Blue's turn and he rolls a 4. He could go 1, 2, 3, 4. If you hit somebody that has less, just one guy, he gets put back into what's called the cow pen. Then when it's his turn, he cannot do anything until he moves his person out first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he could move here as a 5 or here as a 1. And you can move the same guy twice, but you have to be able to resolve each die roll. And you can't move anywhere until you move all your guys out of the cow pen there first. So you're trying to go around the board, you're trying to keep your guys safe because you don't want them to knock you out into the cow pen. Maybe you're trying to knock their guys out into the cow pen, but then this left this guy open so that maybe he might get hit by this guy on the next turn and then he's in the cow pen. So you're trying to get these guys out like this and moving them around, but keeping them safe. Now anytime you roll doubles, you actually get to use this move 4 times. So instead of just going 5 and 5, you have to go 5 and 5, 5 and 5 for 4 times there. Now, as the game progresses, the cows are going to be moving around, and you're going to want to start moving your people into the home stretch area here. Now, once you start having your guys in this area, of course, this is over the course of the game, you cannot move anybody in here into the pen unless all of your guys are in this home stretch. So I can't move anybody here yet because I still have one guy out here. But let's say this guy's here. Now, when I roll, you have to move somebody with exact movement. So I have a 3 and a 2. I could go 1, 2, and I could go 1, 2, 3 because those are exact. Those are the only legal moves I could do there. Now, as people start getting into the pen, sometimes you don't need an exact movement because you can always move your furthest person with a die itself or higher. So if I rolled a 6 and let's just say a 1, well, the 1 can move this guy in. A 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is here. You can always move your furthest cow if the die is equal or greater. So for the 6, I can move any of these guys in, right? So say these guys get moved in with a bunch of 6s in a row. Now this guy can get moved in with a 1, 2, 3, 4, or anything greater than a 4. And actually the numbers are here to help you see what number you would need to get there. And it's simple. So the first person to get all their people there is the winner. Now once I get all my guys here, I would win and I would get 1 point. If my opponent did not get anybody in his cow pen and I won, I'd get 2 points. So you can play multiple games in a row. And if I've won and he has nobody here and he has at least one of his guys in my home station or in the cow pen, I get 3 points, and that's called a snap, hence the game Snapgammon. Now there's a doubling dice here. How does this work? Now the doubling dice starts at 1. And I told you how it scores. Now, on my turn, I can double this die by going from 1 to a 2. My opponent has 2 choices. He can either resign and say, yep, you win, you're fine, but you only get the normal scoring, or he can say, okay, let's keep going, but now we're going for twice the amount of points we normally would be going. And then this die sits in front of him, so I can't move it again. But maybe later on the game changes again, and he moves it to 4 and passes it to me. And now I got to decide, do I just give him the 2 points and resign? Or are we going for 4 times the amount of points that we normally would be going for? And this goes all the way up to 32, and that's how the doubling kind of changes how the stakes of each single game. There's also a variant in this version of the game. Everything up to this point is pretty much straight backgammon. Now let's get into what makes this game different. We have the variant here where the dice are not 6-sided dice. There's an 8. There is a 3+3, which allows you to go 3 twice on that die. And there's a -1, which really changes how things work. Also, anytime you have the same color, you play as if it's doubled. So I'd go 5-5-1-1 or 8-8-2-2, for example, as long as the colors are the same. And this is a variant to play with these crazy dice. It makes things different. But the heart of the change in this game are these cards that break the rules. You can play it on your turn only 1 card per turn, and once you play it, it goes away, and you only get 3 of these at the beginning of the game. Typically, you have 2 choices on each of these cards. One of them is going to be good, and one of them is going to be brutal. For example, Prime Cut, you get to split one of your dice into 2 separate positive moves that add up to the original. So I could split this up to a 3-3, a 4-2, so on and so forth. Brutal is a cow drive. After moving a cow, move more cows from the same space one at a time, each one less than the distance covered. So if I wanted to use a 3, I could go 1, 2, 3, and this one goes 2, and then this one goes 1, just like that. The ghost cow allows you to flip any one of these normal cows over, and it gets ignored until the next turn, so basically it can't be hit and knocked out. The Rustler's Tricks allows you to exchange a lone cow of the opponent with a lone cow of you. The Outlaw allows you to basically you're not forced to move, and you can move stuff into the cow pen even if with no restrictions. So you don't have that restriction there. Calmageddon is every single lone enemy cow that you pass over, boom, goes to the cow pen no matter what. So Calmageddon, you destroy a bunch of his cows. Let's look at a couple more here. We have a clone cow. Gain a new cow. There's extra chips there that come in the game. You basically gain a new cow in a space where you already have at least 1 cow. And brutal, we talked about this where you exchange the positions of a lone and an enemy single cow. This one is a spur, so you make an additional 1 space forward with one of your cows. Or Cow Magician, play at the end of your turn to choose 1 enemy cow that is not on the train and remove it from the game. So that gives you a flair for how these cards really change the game. And that's it. You can play with these cards. You get 3 to start with. You can only play 1 per turn, and then it's discarded. You could use either side of it on your turn, and the rest of it's played the same as backgammon. All right, well, there is Snapgammon. As I mentioned, as a kid, I loved this game. Loved it a lot. Backgammon itself. Now, how does Snapgammon play out? I actually think the things that they added with the crazy dice, that I could give or take. I didn't like that as much as the cards. Playing those 3 cards, figuring out when I can use them, boom, playing them. For me, it made backgammon more fun because I was not a competitive backgammon player. I was just a casual one when I was a kid, and I liked it. And this would make that more fun. The problem is that people that really love backgammon competitively are going to hate this because they want the true experience of backgammon. They don't want the randomness, the craziness coming out of it, right? So people that are competitive backgammon players are not going to like this. People that have never played backgammon or maybe just remembered playing it as a kid, they'll probably like this better than backgammon. But the other problem is that there's so many other new modern abstracty 2-player games that have come out lately that are so good that this one might get forgotten underneath all those. So yes, it's an improvement on backgammon. I like it better than backgammon, but it's not going to come out that often because there's so many other great games that are out these days, and there's just so much competition. So it's a great, I commend them for trying to mess with an original game like that. And they did improve upon it, in my opinion, for non-competitive players. But it's just, there's too many other great games coming out. So it's not one that I'm going to be pulling out that often. That's Snapgammon.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.